Hello and welcome back to Joe's Math Tools. In our session today, we will be applying the divisibility rule for 6. So if you're ready, let's get started. The divisibility rule for 6 tells us that if a number is divisible by both 2 and 3, then this number will be divisible by 6. But to be able to apply the divisibility rule for 6, we must first review the divisibility rule for 2 and for 3. Remember that our divisibility rule for 2 tells us that if any number ending with 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, this number is divisible by 2. And remember that all of these numbers that end with 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 are what we call even numbers. So any even number is divisible by 2. Our divisibility rule for 3 tells us that if the sum of our digits is equal to a multiple of 3, then that number is divisible by 3. Now, if you're not familiar with the divisibility rule for 2 or 3 or how to apply those rules, I will also post a link in the description box below that will help you to be able to go back and review those rules so that you can better understand how to apply the divisibility rule for 6. So now that we have revised the rules for 2 and 3, let's get into the divisibility rule of 6 and see how this rule is applied. So let's look at our first number, which is 206. Now, to apply the divisibility rule for 6, we must first review our rules for 2 and 3 to see if both of these rules apply to this number. So let's begin with our divisibility rule for 2. Now we know that based on our rule for 2, our number does end with 6, which makes this an even number. Remember that even numbers are the numbers that end with 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. So because this is an even number, we can say yes, this is divisible by 2. Now let's see if it's divisible by 3. 3 tells us that if the sum of the digits, which is 2 plus 0 plus 6, is equal to a multiple of 3, and remember that multiple are the numbers in the 3 time table. So that's what we're looking for, to see if the sum of these numbers equal to a number that's in the 3 time table. So we know that 2 plus 0 is 2 and 2 plus 6 is 8. So we know that when it comes to the divisibility rules for 3, this is a no to 3 because 8 is not in the 3 time table. So because this rule only applies to 2, but it doesn't apply to 3, that means that this number 206 is not divisible by 6. That means that when we're dividing our 6 into 206, we should get a remainder from this number. So let's go through our division and test to see if the rule is indeed correct for this number. So 6 can't divide into 2 since it's less than 6. So we'd say 6 divides into 20 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. 20 minus 18 will leave us with 2. We're going to bring down our 6, changing 2 into 26. And 6 goes into 26 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. And 26 minus 24 will leave us with a difference of 2. So we see that for this number, we are left with a remainder, which means that this number is not divisible by 6. So remember that both rules have to be able to apply at the same time on one number. Let's look at the next example. So we're looking at the number 617. So we're going to begin with our rule for 2 first. Now, based on our rule for 2, because this number ends with 7, which is not an even number, that means it's going to be a no to 2. But let's look at our rule for 3. Remember that 3 says we need to sum the digits, so 6 plus 1 plus 7, and 6 plus 1 is 7, and 7 plus 7 would equal to 14. And again, we know that 14 is not in the 3 time table, so this will also be a no to 3. So because this rule doesn't apply to 2, neither 3, that means that 6 will not be divisible by this number. And again, let's go through our rule. Let's go through our division and test our rule. So 6 goes into 6 once. 1 times 6 is equal to 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. We're going to bring down our 1. 6 goes into 1 0 times. 0 times 6 is 0. 1 minus 0 is 1. And we're going to bring down our 7. Changing 1 into 17. 6 goes into 17 twice. 2 times 6 is 12. And 17 minus 12 gives us a difference of 5. So again, we have a remainder, which means again this is a no to 6. So this number is not divisible by 6, as we can see with our rules for 2 and 3 as well. Let's look at a third example. So we're looking to apply the divisibility rule to our number 6,129. And again, we're going to begin with our rule for 2. Because this number ends with 9, that means it's going to be a no for 2 because 9 is not an even number. But let's look at our rule for 3. So we have 6 plus 1 plus 2 plus 9, and 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9, and we know that 9 plus 9 will equal to 18. So for 3, in this case, it is a yes. So this number would be divisible by 3. But again, it's not divisible by 2. And remember, for the rule to apply, it has to be divisible by both 2 and 3 at the exact same time. So let's go through our division once more. You know, I'm going to check the rules and then I'm going to apply the division just to see, just so that you can see that, you know, whether the rule was valid or not. So let's go through our rules. Let's go through our division. So 6 goes into 6 once. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. We're going to bring down our 1. 6 can't go into 1. 0 times 6 is 0. 1 minus 0 will leave us with 1. We're going to bring down our 2, changing 1 into 12. 6 goes into 12 twice. 2 times 6 is 12. And 12 minus 12 is 0. We're going to bring down our 9. 6 goes into 9 once. 1 times 6 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. So this is a big no for 6 again. So far we went through 3 examples. We went through our first number where 2 was able to divide into number but 3 wasn't. We went through our second example where neither 2 or 3 could have divided into the number. And then for our third one, we saw that 2 is not divisible but 3 is. So now let's look at our fourth and final example. Now we've already went through the last 3, then you know that for this one, our rule should be able to apply to both of them just to see if our divisibility rule for 6 is accurate. So let's start with 2 again. So because this number ends in 8, it's going to be a yes for 2. Now let's look at 3. Again, we're summing our digits, so we have 7 plus 9 plus 8. And 7 plus 9 is 16, and 16 plus 8 is 24, so it's a yes for 3. So we have a yes for 2, a yes for 3, which means that we should have a yes for 6 as well. So let's go through our division. 6 goes into 7 once. 1 times 6 is 6. 7 minus 6 leaves us with 1. We're going to bring down our 9, changing 1 into 19. 6 goes into 19 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. 19 minus 18 leaves us with 1. We're going to bring down our 8, changing 1 into 18. 6 goes into 18 3 times. 3 times 6 is 18. And 18 minus 18 is 0. So for this number, it is a yes for 6 as well. Okay, so let's review before we close out. So our rule for 6 simply tells us that if our number is divisible by both 2 and 3, and that's at the same time on the same number, then our number is divisible by 6. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful to you. We went through 4 examples where I showed you where our number is divisible by one number but not the other, and then it's not divisible by either, just so that you can see that in cases when applying this rule, you can't look at it, whereas if it's divisible by 2, that means it should be divisible by 6 even though it's not divisible by 3. Both of these rules has to apply at the exact same time for it to be divisible by 6. So I hope this was really helpful to you. Remember that there are more videos on the divisibility rule that you can view and even make up numbers and practice. But overall, I hope this was helpful to you. And remember that this is Choose Math Tools, where we make math easy.